G'day ladies and gentlemen, Duckville here. Welcome to a replay cast that was sent in to me by one of our players. We'll get into who sent it in and who these players are in just a second. We are of course on Derelict Watcher TE. Let's have a look at our Protoss player down on the bottom right hand side. He's from Team mYi. He's a Protoss player from North America, I believe. It was really weird. I looked on his Wikipedia page and it said Ireland, and I was like, what? And then you look on the mYi page and it says America, so I'm a little bit confused. But anyway, down at the bottom left hand side it is ABomB. Now ABomB did go to DreamHack Valencia. I almost got to cast him there, but he is definitely a pretty damn good quality Protoss player here. Not only to be in the team with the likes of Stardust and such, but also to be up in the GM levels. So it should be pretty interesting. Our player up at the top right hand side, who is the one who sent in this replay for me here today, said it's a little bit of an interesting one. And as you guys know, I do like interesting. From Team Love Your Girlfriend, it is Intense. Now, Intense was previously on Clarity Gaming, but a parted ways a little while ago, I believe. I didn't actually get to speak to Intense about this before, because it was a little bit of a surprise to me. I hadn't actually noticed. I haven't really been keeping up to date. As you guys would know, the last couple of weeks have been pretty much Dota favored for me, just because we've had the International and so forth. But never fear, have been getting into the StarCraft groove yet again after some hardcore Dota weeks. 2 weeks or so, but yeah, we'll be having pretty much back to sort of regular programming, including sort of uploads to the YouTube channel coming up probably every day, maybe every second day or something like that. It kind of depends on how I'm doing IRL with work and such, but yeah, I'll try and keep it consistent. I'm also working on a streaming schedule, so we're going to have a few different types of streaming sessions during the week. We'll have a couple that will be based on Dota, a couple on StarCraft, one of them will be just for me playing randomly on ladder, and another one will be maybe analyzing some replays. If you want to, you can send in your own replays and we can have a look at some various parts of your particular game, or if we don't have any of that variety, we can go through just some random replays that I find around about the place or something that gets sent in. And we'll also be doing random gaming such as Payday 2, XCOM, what else have I got? I don't know, some other stuff there as well. But yeah, we'll be looking at moving into some more regular programming when it comes to streaming and of course for uploading too. So hopefully you guys will be very interested in that kind of stuff. If you have any suggestions as to what you'd like to see, please feel free to tweet me, email me, or post on my Facebook page. You can jump over to facebook.com/duckville.casting and you can post there. I am always checking that kind of social media stuff. But let's talk about our game here. We do have our Reaper coming across from Intense, just going to scout across, wants to see what's going on. Shortly after his racks finished up, we did get a command center starting. So everything is, it's a slightly different way to open up. You don't always see people just go straight up into the reactor. Of course, the possible threat of some early gateway aggression is something that can be a little bit worrisome sometimes for Terran players, but ABomB, he's not going to go sort of too aggressive or anything like that. He's just going to send out that first probe, had a quick look at what was going on. He saw that there was a command center. He also saw the factory, also the racks, and so far there's no real revelation of what's going on just yet for either of these players. There's just the one gas at the moment from Intense. We can see that his factories are just about to pop up. We have a couple of Marines popping out at a time, and of course, this is a normal sort of opening that you would see when you are moving into standard sort of expansion as a Terran player. You want to be able to get out a mine or two, some Marines to help you defend, and then you get that expansion started, and it all looks nice and sexy. So we'll have to see where he's going to transition from here. Meanwhile, for ABomB, he of course went for the one gate expand. We can see a forge also coming up behind this. Robo and a second gate are also on the way. So he's going to try and get these upgrades coming out a little bit quicker. This is something which some people have been throwing out there every now and then, is this sort of slightly quicker forge. You don't necessarily have to have a double forge, a la the Creator Prime style, where you're just cranking out those double upgrades as quickly as you can. But sometimes people like to get started on namely +1 armor. This is something that was around quite a lot in Wings of Liberty, where people would get this, get the +1 armor as quickly as you can. Then your things like your zealots will have a. What's going on there, ABomB? Alright, cool. You have your zealots actually take very, very minimal damage from Marines, so it can be really, really cool to get that kind of thing going. So We'll see where he's going to move it from there. Meanwhile, we do see a couple of Hellions on the way. It looks like we'll get a Hellion drop coming out of Intense. He does have a third command center on the way. A little bit of a standard sort of play. You know, looking back perhaps a couple of months, you wouldn't actually see Terran players go so quickly up to 3 command centers. Normally just because there was a lot of, you know, there was a lot of the threat of, you know, Mothership Core and a couple of gateway units coming in, trying to be really, really annoying and aggressive right at the start. But this is just the common sort of thing you see these days, is the Terran players happy to go up to a fast 3 base economy and try and get their, look, you know, just get everything into a really good position for mid to late game, not necessarily for early game. But we can see now that Intense has got, he's got these 4 Hellions coming through the front door. We also see that Cloak is researching on the production tab. Banshees are on the way, taking advantage of this this new addition to the Terran arsenal, is being able to get that Cloak out. It's a little bit cheaper, it's a little bit nicer to be able to help out when you can get those Banshees out. But poking in the front door is Intense. He gets a little bit of damage done, not too much just yet. Looks like the Marines and the Widowmine now coming in through the top side here. I don't think that ABomB actually saw that coming in. Now he has. He's got the Widowmine to deal with at the top of the ramp. Cannon inside the mineral line. This is another bonus of getting that forge slightly earlier than you would normally see, is that you don't have to worry about Widowmines in your mineral line as much. But as we can see, not too much damage being done here by Intense. We'll have a check of the worker count in just a second once we see this get cleared up, and there it is. So not too much damage done by Intense there, but as we can see, 7 workers killed. Not too bad at all, I suppose. And he's now got extra factories on the way. So we're going to see a mech play coming out of our Terran player. Now this is you know, everyone knows I do love a little bit of mech. It's something that you don't get to see very often at all in TvP. You do see it quite a lot in TvT because it's basically the bread and butter of that matchup. If you don't go mech, you know, it can be a little bit troublesome for you depending on how good you are with your bio units. But as we can see, Intense going to move across. He's going to find out that his opponent is looking to move forward with a little bit of an attack party now coming across, looking for a counterattack here because, as we can see, ABomB will know. He did scout out that the double factories are on the way, and he'll know, well, alright, my opponent's going mech, which means that he's not going to be as threatening to start with. So what I'm going to do is try and push forwards with some Stalkers, some Sentries and some Zealots. Going to try and take advantage of that, but the SCVs are pulled by Intense, in fact getting locked out at the front of the natural base here. These guys are going to be in a lot of trouble there. They're still continuing to push forwards, but unfortunately Intense is going to lose quite a lot of his SCV count. We'll have a quick check of how many are lost there in just a second. The SCV train continues to roll. ABomB is looking to take advantage of his time warp there, does get quite a lot of kills, and is slowly losing a lot of his forces, though I think he's a little bit underprepared for that Banshee that came along. So a lot of the Terran SCVs are being killed off there. That is a really unfortunate side for our Terran player Intense. As we can see, he's lost 16 SCVs to that attack. So that was, you know, that was quite damaging. But, you know, we have to decide whether that was actually completely worth it, because I think that ABomB kind of pushed the limit a little bit too much there. I would have loved to see him just lock down the ramp a little bit better, you know, set up the force field so that you can't really get any more units outside, and then just make sure that he sort of stays around this area to pick off some of those SCVs if they come too close, and then back off, because he did lose quite a lot of his units here. And as we can see on the supply count, we're actually relatively even. 95 to 92 is the supply count right now, so it's not as if that was bad. That was a bad attack. I just think it could have gone a little bit better there for ABomB. But as we can see, Intense is going to come out. Got lots of Hellions now making their way outside, trying to get a kill on one of these Stalkers. Of course, you know, it's very rare to see Hellions killing off Stalkers because they're rarely ever seen in this matchup apart from the very early game, but he's still continuing to make those. As we can see, Intense has got those extra factories now added in. Double armories down at the back, researching some +1 to ship weapons and armor. Of course, this is in the latest patch, guys, so we don't actually have the upgrade bonus coming out, which has been sent into the test map at the moment. There is a test map where the ship weapons and armor both count for ground vehicles and the air units as well. So that one is still not live just as of yet. I think that'll help mech a little bit, but I don't think it'll necessarily make it actually viable in this matchup. So But anyway, we'll see what happens. Intense is going to push up into the third base of his opponent. One single cannon is here to defend this. Going to warp in a couple of stalkers to try and soak up some of the damage, but the probe's being targeted down. Very nicely done by Intense. He has cleaned up basically every single probe. In fact, just one probe will remain. And ABomB is going to be very uncomfortable after that. 23 workers killed in total. We do have a little bit of a scout going on here. ABomB wants to confirm, alright, is this definitely mech? Alright, it definitely is, because we do have the extra factories down the back. We've got the Ghost Academy researching the Mobius reactor so that those ghosts can get their EMPs out. And now, ABomB is going to scout out that his opponent has that third base, and he really needs to sort of deal some damage here because he suffered quite a lot of economic damage, and with a lot of stalkers out, a Colossus or two, maybe even a Time Warp to help out, he should be able to get some really significant damage done here at this third base. But slowly but surely, Intense is starting to pick up his tank count. He's got a lot of Hellbats and Hellions that are coming across. Looks as if the stalkers will blink up at the top here. Nice little upgrade there for them. This is the one thing you want to do as a Protoss in TvP. If you're facing up against a mech player, you want to take advantage of how mobile your units can be. You want to be able to utilize Blink Stalkers. Your Colossi can take advantage of their step up to the high ground and these kinds of things, as we just saw there. And, you know, you really want to be able to pull the mech army around and about, because if these tanks are very slow, the Hellbats are also very slow. If you see your opponent go into Thors, into Widow Mines, these are all very slow units, and they can take quite a lot of time to reset and get into position to defend various places on the map. So it is good to see that ABomB is just sort of maneuvering around, just soaking up a little bit of time there, because back at home, he's getting his own research done. Charge is on the way. We can see Colossi still starting to come out. This is a point, I can understand these first two, maybe three Colossi, but I would really love to see him get started on the Immortal production. Like, we're talking about how to deal with mech, and a lot of the time it's basically just comes down to things like Immortals, Blink Stalkers, and Charge lots. Of course, Archons get added into the mix as well. Immortals and Archons do have a lot of trouble when the ghosts start coming out, because good EMPs can really screw up a Protoss army, just simply because these units are very reliant on their shields helping them out, especially those Immortals, especially things like the Archons as well. And you just have to be very careful when you're dealing with those kinds of the ghosts coming out. The EMPs are just so powerful. So ABomB is now going to move across towards the top side. He's got a Warp Prism that's going to come along, and it will get shot down, at least partially. Takes a little bit of shield damage. That bonus to the Warp Prism speed really helping out here. So he's going to drop in some Zealots. Also, no DTs just as of yet, but while this is going on, ABomB is going to come across to the bottom right-hand side base. The third base of Intense is in a little bit of trouble. SCV's being cut up inside the main. The Blue Flame Hellions really helping out here, but on the opposite side of the map, Blue Flame Hellions also doing some good work here in the third base of ABomB. He's going to lose some more of his workers there. The third base of Intense is also under attack. We can see the Colossi just stuck across to the side a little bit. These guys need to move in there and get some damage done, but the Banshees and Hellbats clean up the main base. Those Hellbats inside the third have done a ridiculous amount of damage here. 46 workers killed for ABomB, and of course Intense has also killed 44 of his opponents as well, and this game just keeps going back and forth when it comes to worker kills. So this has been a little bit of a struggle for ABomB in a way, just because he's been constantly threatened by some of these units here. Intense going to pick up some of the Blue Flame Hellbats and move straight across towards the natural base. If he can get a few more kills here, this would be really good for him. We can see that he should be able to scout out. Alright, there's a couple of extra robos here. I may need to get really cranking on those ghosts, because if my opponent starts to crank up the Immortal count, I'm going to be in a little bit of trouble. But he's getting so much damage. That is a disgusting amount of damage done. 55 workers killed. The Terran third base is still operational. We can see that there are 56 workers in total, and of course the 50 probes are out on the map, and you know, Intense doesn't actually have the biggest of economies left over after all of these attacks, but what he does have is a very, very powerful mech army about to start cranking into gear here. We're at 186 supply. We can see he's got a huge amount, ridiculous. That's actually maybe a little bit too much on the Hellbat count. I'm not actually sure. I haven't really seen people use Blue Flame Hellbats too much these days in TvP, but ABomB gonna ask for a pause there. Intense. What's he? Okay, there we go. Alright, so we did get to the pause in the end, but anyway, ABomB does have a fourth base down at the bottom right-hand side. I don't believe this has been scouted yet, no. Hasn't actually scouted this one out. If Intense can actually grab that base, he'll be pretty much in the hot seat to take out this game. But as we can see, just sort of jockeying for position right now, we can see that the Terran army is kind of moving back to the side just to try to make sure that he can secure his 4th base. The tank's now starting to move across, going to siege up just a little bit, just wants to control this little zone here where he can get his 4th base operational. The 4th, speaking of 4th bases, the 3rd of Intense was under attack by those Colossi just coming across towards the side here, getting a little bit of damage done, taking out a few of the workers. Stalker's going to move forward, so you want to try and take out some of these ghosts. They do get a couple of them, and then says, hello, I'm jumping straight into the main base. Starports are under threat right here. We can see that ABomB should be aware. Alright, he may want to switch into battle cruisers soon. We'll see if that happens. But ABomB able to get a lot of damage done here. The Colossi again moving across towards the 3rd base, getting a lot of damage done there. This command center is in quite a lot of trouble just outside the range of those siege tanks. The Colossi are able to get a lot of damage done. The tanks will be able to fire down on the Colossus, and I think, yeah, well, it looks like he will be able to force them out for now. The Stalkers inside the main are pretty much dead. I don't think there is a way you can salvage these guys. The Blue Flame Hellbats moving forwards, charging across, taking down the shields, taking down the health, and the last of the Stalkers will go down. So this has still been very back and forth, but ABomB has been able to sort of buy himself some more time here, just sort of recuperating himself here, keeping his 4th base operational. Lots of probes now out on the map. 63 workers here for our Protoss play. He's going to add in 9,000 Archons. Wow, that is actually 9 Archons, but you know, just take away a few thousand there to get the real number. But that is a lot of Archons here. And for our unit count, as we can see, there are only 4 ghosts. You'll have to be very careful. Make sure these EMPs are spot on if Intense wants to win this battle, because Archon, Colossus, and Immortal, as we can see here, the 5 Immortals down underneath the legs of the Colossi, just ridiculously strong. And now ABomB looks like he's going to add in more and more Archons here. This should be very interesting, given that the Hellbats are quite tanky. They are relatively tanky compared to some of their other various compatriots. Hallucinated warp prisms now moving forward, just trying to see what's going on, trying to find out where all of the Terran forces are. Intense is looking to rebuild his 3rd base. Another attack here at the 3rd of ABomB. He is going to be able to block this one out for now, recall back at home with some morphing in Archons. Wow, didn't even know that happens, but the Archons do come back, some Immortals as well. Looks like the medevac will be able to get out of there, but down at the 4th base, Intense getting some more harassment done. He himself is also buying quite a lot of time. He's been able to cut down his opponent's army. We can see that the Terran units almost have 3-3. Once this is in operation, this is a very strong kind of army here. And as we said though, it will be very dependent on EMPs and Intent. Both players actually kind of just sort of move commanding into each other there. I'm not sure how that happened, but I can tell you one thing, and that is my PC is getting crushed by all of this. But as we can see, the Terran army is slowly making its way through all of this, and somehow it looks as if, yeah, well, it's going to be a relatively even trade, but I think the Banshees and the Vikings up in the sky are going to be the end victors in this. In fact, no, a couple of tanks will survive, so Intense is able to take the battle there. I don't think that was necessarily an even trade. I think he did get the better end of it at, well, obviously he's still got units at the end of that, but ABomB, I mean, he was just a little bit careless with some of the positioning here. We can see that Warp Prisms have been able to get inside and get some more harassment done. Blue Flame Hellbats here to defend. It looks like the Zealots will get caught out, but they do survive, or at least one of them does survive. More tanks, more Hellbats all coming out here from Intense, and we'll see how he's going to maneuver himself from here. We can see just as some background, guys. Intense, I actually caught him playing this, and he said, I'm just going to YOLO some mech today, and he's actually, like, I'm quite impressed. There are some various things I would have changed. We'll talk about them in a minute. We do see some Stalkers coming across to the 3rd base. Planetary Fortress, unfortunately, does not have that much range. Can't reach those Stalkers just across to the side, but they will be forced to back off for the moment. They're going to have to blink the rest of them out here, Mr. ABomB. Does get a lot of them out, the tanks that come across, but One thing which I would really love to see here from ABomB, from Intense, sorry, is some more usage of Widow Mines. They're actually really powerful in this particular matchup, in this kind of style here. They're very cheap, they're very effective. Once you have the Drilling Claws upgrade, they are very, very hard to stop. But overall, he's done quite a pretty decent job. And I mean, as long as we keep the Ghost coming, that is a very important part of dealing with a Protoss player who goes up against mech, is you want to have the EMPs to block out the Archons and the Immortals. If you've got that, then you should have the game in the bag, as long as you are extremely careful with your positioning and your tactical placement of when you siege jump, when you unsiege. All these kinds of things are extremely important here. But as you can see, it looks like your ABomB going to come across, wants to take out some of the ghosts. Very nicely done. And for ABomB, I'm a little bit surprised. We don't see him moving into Tempest or Void Rays too much here. In fact, does he even have a starport? No, he doesn't. He doesn't actually have a single starport out on the map right now. For the Protoss folks out there, if you are going up against a mech player, generally you do want to head towards Tempest and of course Void Rays, and you know, maybe throw in some Archons and that kind of stuff. That's where you generally want to head to, just so that you can make sure you can deal with these very powerful units here. Of course, the Tempest long range units that can deal with your tanks, even the Ghosts and the Hellbats, all these kinds of things can't really do too much to Tempest. Then you have the Archons on the ground for some tanking power, and you know, adding in Zealots at this kind of stage, I'm not really sure how I feel about that. But one thing that I do like that ABomB is doing multiple expansions. We've got an expansion down at the 6 o'clock, up at the top left hand side here at the 11 o'clock base. This is one thing which we would have wanted to see a little bit earlier, is getting some really mobile expansions going out to the corners, trying to take advantage, we mentioned before, of the immobility of mech. You want to be able to take advantage of the fact that he can't be down here and also up here at the same time, unless he's got some mad micro skills and multitasking. You have to sort of keep a mech army clumped together, because as we saw before, in a big battle, he actually, Intense actually lost the majority of his units. So, you know, you have to keep everything bunched up. You can't just send off like 4 tanks and 4 Hellbats and hope to kill off a base, because some Stalkers, a couple of Archons will just easily eat that for breakfast. So you have to be very careful about that kind of thing as well. But it looks like we'll have another engagement here as the players look to move in towards the middle section of the map. We can see they're just sort of posturing around. I don't think that ABomB actually has an idea of where his opponent is just at the moment. He's trying to lure some of the units just across towards the top side, but a couple of tanks at Planetary Fortress all ready to defend this. Some more Stalkers down on the bottom edge of the map here, just coming across to the third base of our Terran player. It looks as if some... Are you serious? I was gonna say a Hellbat drop on like, you know, 10 Stalkers. I wonder how that's gonna go. But as you can see, more Stalkers still continuing to move forwards. But unfortunately, with the 3-3 tanks, these guys do 65 damage against armored targets. And these Stalkers just do not stand a chance, especially with the protection of the Planetary Fortress there. So we can see now that ABomB is starting to really work his units together right now. What we want to see is some really good positioning here from Intense. He is able to snipe off maybe one of those Colossi. But here we go. The battle rages. Some EMPs do go off, taking down the shields. The Archons just melt there. The Immortals are also in huge trouble. With their shields gone, they cannot handle all of the firepower of those tanks. And Intense has put himself in a solid position here. He is also harassing at the third base at the same time. Blue Flame Hellion's going to clean up that Archon down at the 6 o'clock base, also getting some work done down here as well. We can see that he's going to try and get some more units back together. Double Reapers coming out. I think he pressed the wrong button there, but is going to have more resupply of tanks, Vikings, and Hellbats on the way for our Terran player. Meanwhile, for ABomB, he's trying to recuperate, get together some more of those Immortals. But I mean, this is the problem that you face with up against a Terran player who wins a big battle with mech, is that these units will just start to get more and more powerful. And with the harassment that's going on, the bank of ABomB is going to start to really deplete right now, and gas becomes a huge issue for a Protoss player at this point. We can see that he barely has any gas coming in right now. It's around about 300, but that's going to reduce a little bit further right now. But if he can keep this base, and the fourth base, of course, just down to the side there, he should be in a pretty okay position. I don't think he's in the best of positions, but with Intense really starting to re-macro right now, he's picked up a 5th base. He's going to put himself in a strong position. So, those Reapers, are they seriously going to be useful? They're going to die? Ooh, one of the Reapers does die. It looks as if the second one will go down as well. A blink out it, but not far enough. Says Intense, the tanks hacking apart all of that. More Hellbats have come across to the third base. We can see now that Intense is slowly starting to move across. He may be able to catch out this base just here. I think he has just found that one and says, yep, I'll take that one, thank you very much. Hellbats starting to make their way across through the southern side of the map. A little bit of micro starter step here from Intense to try and keep these guys alive. They're on the chase of this Zealot. He's slowly starting to run back, but more Stalkers will warp in. Should be able to help clean up those Hellbats here, and that should be the end of that harassment down there for Intense. But let's look at the worker count. 57 probes are out right now. We can see that our Terran player has 45 SCVs, but at this point, SCVs don't really matter. What you want to have is a lot of orbital commands, being able to drop down a lot of mules and this kind of stuff, so that you can mine and just bring in gas. So what we want to see here from Intense is getting in a little bit more gas, just to make sure that his bank is in a nice place, because having 2,000 gas is a very nice thing to have, but you know, when you need to remax a Terran mech army, it can take a huge amount of gas. Given that the tanks cost a lot, Thors, you know, Widowmines, Ghosts, all these kinds of things can eat up that gas count very, very quickly. So we'll see what Intense is going to do from here. It looks like he's going to load up a couple more of those Hellbats. Want to try and get some damage done down here at the bottom. Well, this sort of the fourth base, as it were. It used to be the fourth, but now it's kind of a third base. But here we go. Looks like some Templar going to come through. Where's the feedback? There's one. Does he get a second? No, that was the Zealot that warped in, unfortunately. So the Hellbats do drop down. It looks like they won't get too much damage done. Just going to put some damage on the cannon there. But there are a couple too many cannons to just let that go freely. Upgrades, of course, are sitting at 3-3 for the Terran ground army. The Vikings have +3 on their ship plating. The Protoss army, for the moment, is currently sitting on 103. I'm a little bit skeptical about this. I'm very confused as to how ABomb has stuck on +1 to armor this entire time. We're at the 35-minute mark of this game right now. The tanks have got 3-3. You need 3-3 armor and shields on your Protoss units, otherwise you are always going to lose the fights. And you know, this could pretty much cost ABomb this game here, because he's just not been able to get those upgrades going. We can see now Planetary Fortress being protected by a ring of SCVs. It looks like the SCVs don't want to go to work repairing that though. Not that they'd have a chance. Too many Immortals, too many Stalkers and Zealots here to really repair that up and save the day. The mech army down at the bottom side is now moving across towards what is pretty much the last mining base of ABomb. We should be able to take this out very, very quickly here. The tank's in pong-pong mode, just moving forwards. However, on the top side of the map, we may have an interesting base race here coming out of our two players. There is no mothership core here, keep in mind, so ABomb cannot recall these units if it does go to a full-on base race and he decides to come back. But a Templar coming out, throwing down a storm or two. The tank's trying to chase after them. Another great storm from ABomb. He's able to chew up a lot of the HP of those tanks here. Now we can see firing up to the high ground are these tanks. They're able to shoot up towards those gateways here. The Protoss army still continuing to march forwards. I'm not sure how well this is going to go, because just up at the top, what you would normally see from a Terran player here is just maxing out on mines and putting all of the Widow mines just here at the top of the ramp. But as we can see, ABomb is still continuing to move his way forwards, tearing apart a lot of the infrastructure here, but his own infrastructure is now in a lot of trouble. Gateways going down. We can see this ridiculously long line of probes now making its way up towards the top left-hand side, where ABomb is attempting to resuscitate his economy there, but it looks like he may not be able to do it. We can see that that Intense has been able to set up a nice amount of Hellbats and tanks here at the top of the ramp, so no real pushing up there is going to happen. Trying to hack away at the third base. He should be able to take this one down relatively quickly. Of course, those Immortals and the Zealots here ready to just tear them apart very quickly. Vikings landing inside the main base. Hellbats coming along with them as well. Tanks will protect from the low ground, but there is nothing really to protect. I would love to... This is a point where you may actually be able to split up some of these units and start sending them around the map. But for the moment, ABomb is just going to try and take apart his opponent's remaining economy. As you can see, ABomb has a nice amount of minerals here, with 700 minerals available to him right now. He is mining away quite nicely from this top left-hand side base. He has 44 probes left out of the map. There are 0, repeat 0 SCVs here for Intense. He has 72 minerals. He can make 1 SCV. He can, of course, drop down a couple of mules as well if he so desires. We can see that ABomb is able to get another base up, though. I think that Intense... Ooh, he can almost see that one, but so far it looks like a no. This is going to be a really interesting situation here between these two players because Intense has a ridiculously powerful army. There is no way in hell that ABomb is ever going to win a straight up fight. He needs to be able to carefully position himself. If he can slowly take apart some of the buildings here, that he may be able to sort of draw his opponent out. But Intense is just in this spot where he can just sort of slowly take his opponent apart. He doesn't need to send all of his units inside the main base to take out all of these buildings here. He's playing it very carefully and very calmly, and he's just going to sit outside for the moment. He's going to leave the tanks in siege mode because he knows if these units do try and make their way towards the tank line, they're going to get obliterated. So we can see now that ABomb has, well, he's got an okay mixture of units, but I mean, this is these Zealots here. As I was sort of saying, I'm not sure how I feel about this many Zealots here at the late stage of the game. We've got 2 Archons, 2 Immortals, also a few Stalkers in the mix as well. These Zealots, the Stalkers, and a couple of Templar in the mix. But, you know, the one thing we were talking about before, the upgrades, 103. We're at the 41-minute mark, and it's 103. I'm a little bit disappointed that we don't see any further upgrades there, but as you can see, it looks like the DT, one DT is going to make its way towards the tanks. We can see now that the Hellbats are forced out of position there. Is he missing? Oh, he did. He missed a couple of those EMPs there. So ABomb was trying to get some damage done with that DT. He was able to hack apart a couple of units, but the EMPs were able to reveal that the DT was there. We can now see this is a really interesting position because, as we said before, Intense has a lot of tanks. He's got 13 tanks, 19 Hellbats, of course, with these units that are still up inside the main base, 16 Vikings. You know, I kind of feel like there is no way that ABomb can actually win this, because as soon as Intense is able to properly link up the rest of these units, as we can see here, if these guys are able to link up with the other forces down here, or if he's able to split his opponent's army up, then he may be able to just simply win it straight up. So Command Center is going to land. I think he was looking to Planetary Fortress, but then realized, oh wait, I don't have any minerals or gas. Well, he's got gas, but he doesn't have minerals. So it looks as if Intense is going to go for a sandwich here. We all love sandwiches. We've got a sandwich consisting of Hellbats, Ghosts, and a couple of tanks up here at the top side. This is the thing, ABomb cannot even push into that. If he pushes into this, he could get torn apart, and the Hellbats at the front, they are able to easily deal with those Zealots very quickly here. EMPs all done, but the Immortals left over are not enough to deal with the Hellbat and mech army of LYGF Intense. And a wonderful game there between these two players. It was a bit back and forth at the start. Workers being traded left, right, and center, but towards the end, we saw the battle turn the way of the mech player, and you know, mech, as everyone says, it's impossible to do mech. Well, it's not impossible, it's just extremely hard to do, just extremely hard. So keep that in mind. If you want to play some mech, head out there and give it a whack. It's always a bit of fun sometimes if you can get it to work in TvP especially. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this match. I'll catch you all next time. +1 to weapons, armor, charge is just about to finish. All these lovely things all about to come out here from Bales. And Jon Snow is in a world of pain right now. Some lings are going to pop out. The sentry's in a little bit of trouble. Jumps them up into the wall prison, but drops them back